Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a bench press day. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. So for those who are trying to keep up with what I'm doing at this point in my training, I'm still running essentially conjugate in the sense of I start every workout with a conjugate style max effort lift. We rotate variations, then I do pump work and accessory work afterwards. But I'm also doing some volume on my classic lifts, squat, bench, and deadlift, right? We do some of that afterwards. So today I built up to a medium grip bench. I haven't tested a medium grip in just a little while, right? A medium is for me about midway between the rings and the smooth. My standard bench right now is pinkies on the rings, and then closed grip I go right by the smooths. I thought I'd test it out a little bit. I got up, did a nice controlled smooth 315 with a solid pause, and I'm happy with that. I didn't want to take this one all the way up to a serious 100% max. I wanted it to be above 95%, a good quality training max with a good pause, and that's essentially what we got. Good pause for over a second, drive it up, a little slow, a little through the mid-range, but not bad, not super grindy. I feel like I could have got more. Racked it, and then we go over to the other work. So as I've been looking at what I'm doing, when I did my pull-ups the other day, I noticed that again, when I take that nice shoulder width grip pull-up, even though I'm pretty weak at those relative to my other movements right now, I felt a lot of upper back. I feel my posterior deltoids and all that stuff light up super hard. So I'm like, you know what, I could probably do these instead of rows for a bit. The idea is the same. I'm still working lats and upper back. And because it's a pull-up, it hits the upper back quite a bit better than, say, a chin-up does, at least in my experience. So I'm like, well, let me work in 5 sets of these, work on getting good at these again. And I'm doing these through the longest range of motion I can personally do, and it's just my structure. It is what it is. Notice a lot of these I go to a dead hang and then come up. So, I mean, what more do you want? But again, I feel a ton of lat, I feel a ton of post delt and all that stuff. And as far as the other back stuff goes, I'm getting out of the rows because I'm deadlifting for volume every Friday. That's going to handle the rest of my trap and erector work and everything else that I may be getting from rows over the pull-ups. So if I'm going to do volume deadlifts, I like pull-ups. You know, people have noticed that with a lot of my clients too. My people who are running pure conjugate, who are doing a lot of only speed pulls, and if I keep their speed pulls light, I often push them in the direction of pull-ups or chin-ups if they're very good at them. And my people, you know, or I push them more towards rows, I mean. But my people who are doing any sort of volume deadlifting, I have historically let them do a lot of pull-ups. And it just has to do with the balance of the muscles involved. And right now I'm looking at, you know, what is the amount of training I need to reach my goals and not doing anything more. Because quite frankly, I'm at a point where I accumulate overuse injuries if I'm not careful. People have noticed historically I run a lot more volume, sometimes it's optimal, particularly for upper body. And that's one reason my bench, I think, often stalls quite a bit behind my squat and deadlift. I simply do too much overall upper body volume. So now I'm trying to focus on what's going to give me the most bang for my buck for increasing my bench and just getting me thicker. All right, and again, it's always going to be like pull-ups or rows. Because I'm doing deadlifting, I can get away with the pull-ups more. And as long as I don't try to do something crazy like 20 sets a week of these, I don't get the overuse issues. Because that is when I've had problems in the past from pull-ups has been overuse. Overuse and trying to force myself to stretch into ranges of motion my shoulder girdle doesn't like, or just simply won't go into. So, you know, I just came in and these are hard at six reps right now. That's how kind of weak I am at the moment at that variation, but I feel so much activation from it. And it feels pretty decent on my shoulders. So I'm like, let me do 5 sets of that, even if it's only 6 reps, we'll build it up. And then I just did pause benching, right? Most of my reps were pause for a 1 count. So a few of them here or there were touch and go. Some of them on the last rep, I held it longer at the bottom. And I just did 5 sets of 8 with 225 after hitting a training max. And I just did a superset back and forth. So I did pull-ups right after each one of those. And this is kind of what I'm doing. You know, we do about 5 sets of the base exercises. And I had been doing a little bit of rows. I'll rotate it over to pull-ups for a bit. And so it's going to be pull-ups and rows, and then my lower body is squat and deadlift. And that's what we do. That is what I'm doing. And then afterwards, of course, I pick supplemental lifts that are going to fill in the weak links, the weak gaps. And we come in and we do volume on that stuff, 10 plus reps, right? 10 plus reps on all of that stuff. So again, we're doing pump work afterwards. But this is enough to grow on, considering the fact that this is done twice a week, right? And this is not even counting splash over or the maxes. We take the maxes out of the equation. What's our volumes end up being on something like this? Well, it would be 10 sets of presses and 10 sets of pulls. Okay, we're in our optimal range for hypertrophy. And I've always got to remember that I have that tendency to want to push beyond that all the time. And sometimes it doesn't always go well for me. I do get a little sore, beat up, banged up, and it's really not worth it. Because it's not necessary to go much beyond that. And as far as the max strength goes, I'm maxing on 2 presses, a squat, and a deadlift every week to a training max or a real max. Okay, there is our strength work. The other stuff is then coming in using the big lifts to build size and strength. Okay, and when we're using these really big lifts, we don't need a lot of overall volume on other stuff. So in the case of me, I'm doing arm work afterwards. So I hadn't been doing JM presses, but I've noticed a little bit of tenderness around the elbow, right, particularly on the left side starting. So I went over and I was like, let's work on just extensions for a bit and then throw in some more band press downs. Band press downs have done really well for me in the past. That's what got my close grip up when I was at my strongest last year, hit that 365 close grip. I feel like the band press downs helped tremendously with that. I need to get up to that or higher on this wider grip. But again, come in and just superset arms. We need a little more bicep after doing pull-ups, right? Pull-ups do work biceps pretty well. It's not enough to really see all the growth we might want. All right, we look at benching. We've got good studies combining the laying tricep extension with the bench press, showing really phenomenal tricep hypertrophy. It's a great combination, and it makes sense because if you look at the way the different heads are worked. All right. As far as additional chest and everything else, what are we getting? Well, that pullover effect here gives a little chest. The pull-ups give a little secondary chest stress. But the bench press itself builds the whole chest. And then all of this works delts to some extent. And we could have a lot of debates on how much delt work we actually need. That is a source of great controversy. I prescribe delt work for a lot of my clients. I've had phases where I've done a lot of it. Truthfully, I can't say that I really see a difference. Even when I do 10 to 20 sets of direct delt work every week for a couple months straight, I can't really tell the difference. And there are coaches and experts out there who think it's not really necessary. If anything, it can lead to, a bit of overtraining of the delts. That some of these big movements, unless you're trying to step on a bodybuilding stage at a very serious level, may not really be that big of a deal. Subject to debate. But right now, I want to keep my shoulders healthier, and I feel like when I don't do any shoulder work, my shoulders feel better. It lets me focus on my benching more. Hey, and as far as keeping the scapular mobility and everything, we can do that with pull-ups, right? Especially because I stretch them as far as my scapula will go at the bottom. Hey, we get a lot of that we might need to help benefit our bench press. So again, I came in, did 3 sets of 10 to 12 with laying tricep extensions, which put a focus on the long head. We did 3 sets of standing barbell curls, and I could easily sub these out for hammer curls again if I want at any point. And then I came in and just to finish the triceps, help the tendons and everything else, I did 1 really high rep set of band press downs to failure, just for a little more tricep work because my triceps need the extra work. But overall, pretty happy with the workout. That's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.